Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Napoleonic Total War 3 mod gameplay battle. Today we are back with another 2 vs 2 on just a beautiful, spectacular map. I mean, look at this battle map right here. It even has its own victory conditions. If the battle runs over a specific time limit, then whoever holds these victory points will go ahead and claim, either a decisive victory, a strategic one, and so on. I just love that about this mod. It just adds in all these different strategies on playing and adds in a lot of depth to the engagements themselves. And it's not necessarily about wiping the enemy out. If you play, say, with like a 30-minute timer, these victory points are extremely real and you might need to try and take them. So in today's battle we have a corps of French troops supported by a Bavarian corps that has come to the aid of Napoleon as he fights away the French, and as he fights away the Spanish. And we're actually going to pause it. He's going to fight away against the Spanish and also a force from Saxony. So it should be a pretty exciting battle. Quickly taking a look at the deployments, as we can only really see the French and Bavarian deployments due to the line of sight that Napoleon has. We unfortunately, even in the replays, can't see the other team, which I guess is kind of cool because we get to see exactly what the French are seeing. We can see that the Bavarians are looking to make a quick run up this road. Obviously, your units move a lot faster on roads, which is why we see the entire Bavarian army making its way across here. And they're going to be pushing their way, through the roads and probably holding up around here, trying to take control of this victory point, because obviously it is worth 2. And I believe this is actually a really interesting strategic move right here, because if the Bavarians hold this one, they're actually sending units. You can see the French have sent a unit over to this victory point, and they've also sent the Bavarians have sent a unit over to this victory point right here. So at the moment, they actually have 4 victory points because this middle one is worth 2, whereas the Spanish and the forces of Saxony only have 3, which is forcing them to be aggressive and attack. They don't necessarily have to go for the center point. They could try and go for a nice little flanking maneuver, maybe sending some regiments round this side, securing this position, and then just holding their 4 victory points. So as you can already see, like, these victory points add in so much flavor to the battle itself. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get this bad boy started. We can see a few of these Spanish regiments coming into view right now, and they're going to be simply forming up, waiting, I imagine, for the rest of the regiments. There we have it. The first couple volleys coming out by the Voltigeurs, the light infantry of the French, just taking a few pot shots, falling back out of range of these regiments, and obviously having to be very careful of the Spanish cavalry that are showing themselves right there. I imagine these guys are just going to be picking away, trying to take out a few of the Spanish troops before the rest of the regiments turn out. And the Spanish don't really want to overcommit to this. They don't want to find themselves where 4 of their regiments are being shot by the entire French army. So it's kind of worth just to sit back and, let the French take a few pot shots, take a few casualties, and then just wait for their, they've got quite a few regiments back here, just biding their time, making their way forward. Really interesting here as well is that the French could quite easily cut Saxony off. Oh, we have a little cavalry engagement going on right now here as well. And I think the Bavarians are coming out on top as they continue to push forward. We also have a Saxony cavalry division right here capturing this victory point. I mean, I imagine the Bavarians are going to come in with full force. You need like a couple regiments, I think, to really put your stamp down on this victory point. But it's interesting to know, like, technically, the forces of Spain and Saxony are winning right now because they hold this victory point, and obviously the 3 back here. If they've obviously sent units back there, we can't really see. We can see, though, more of the Saxony light divisions coming into view now, and they've also got a couple, frontal regiments making their way quickly down the road. However, the Bavarians are formed up, in protection of this, and we're also going to see the French as well forming up as the rest of the Spanish regiments do come into view right now, making themselves known. So we're going to get a pretty big Spanish line up here, and the French are quickly going to try and meet them, sending 4 regiments over to this right hand side, and then the main bulk of the corps just pushing up to hold this center line. You can see there's a fairly big line being formed up right now by the French and the Bavarians, looking to stay as close together. But this is going to kind of be a delayed assault here by the men of Saxony. Oh, that's pretty brutal. The Spanish did actually get into range, and they're going to be unloading their first volley right now against the Voltigeurs as they fall back. Oh, there's also some cannon set up as well by the Spanish. However, I think it's being bombarded. Yeah, it is being bombarded by the French guns back here. We have some 12-pounders. That's some heavy artillery right now. As you can see, oh, that just looks amazing. Look at all these regiments moving. That's amazing. Look at that. Just in the distance, all the gunfire. That's really cool. Yeah, I think we have 4 12-pounders for the French and only 2 6-pounders for the Spanish right now. They are going to probably be able to hit canister shot though on this light artillery, so that's going to be pretty good for them. No, they're actually trying to duke it out and trying to take out some of the French artillery right there. It's not a bad plan. The French are making their way into view now of the Spanish lines. And I think this is something that the French can do. One, they basically outnumber these guys here. But they're willing to take a few casualties, like fire and advance almost. Yeah, they're actually okay at, you know, like taking these first couple shots off, letting the Spanish shoot them, just so that the French infantry can get a little bit closer. Because I imagine the French guns over time will win these battles against the Spanish. You know, the French are obviously extremely well trained. We also have some light infantry engagements going on right now from the Bavarians. Nothing too crazy going on right now. The Bavarians are, though, just, you know, shooting away, taking out a few of this light artillery. Nothing too crazy, though. And we are going to be getting the cavalry unit over here, going to be getting pushed back from the main engagement as more of the Saxony infantry comes out. But a large portion of the Saxony line is completely invisible right now. We don't know where the majority of the Saxony forces are, so they could literally be everywhere. I mean, I imagine they're just going to be forming up here against the Bavarians. However, it'd be very interesting to see the forces of Saxony, you know, just kind of all of a sudden come down this position right now, take this capture point, and then just seeing the Spanish maybe retreat and they just hold this battle line. Be a really good strategy, honestly, and that's why I just love these battles. They just have that strategy. Oh, canister shot going off there by the 6-pounders, absolutely shredding this unit right here, this poor line regiment, and you can see they're going to be backing off right now. Another canister shot there, hitting them in the back, devastating them, and we're going to be seeing the French line actually retreat now, pulling back, leaving a few light infantry up there, you know, to hammer away on the battle line. But the majority of them are going to be pulling back, and it's going to be heavily down to this, you know, 6-pounder with this canister shot. I mean, luckily the other regiments over here can still fight and duke it out. Just look at that as well. It just looks amazing. I'm using a reshader mod as well to add in, you know, just a little bit more cinematic feel. And I think it definitely looks a lot better. Let me know if you guys agree. And I want to say a massive thank you to Alex for letting me use his reshader preset. He's the guy who does all the thumbnails for all these videos. So massive thank you to him. Always amazing stuff. So yeah, as we can see, more of the Saxony regiments are starting to come in. But the Bavarians are falling back now as well. Yeah, a big push of the Bavarians as the Spanish really push up right now. And there is a stream right here, but I believe this stream can be crossed right now. The French are falling back and the Spanish are being extremely aggressive, pushing the French back, and we're seeing the entire Bavarian line just retreating back to their victory points, which is not a bad idea. You know, they hold the advantage. They just have to simply retreat, get back here. But considering half of the Saxony army is only just turning up, I really feel like the side right here should have done maybe a bit of a better job. I think they're just pulling themselves out of canister shot. I think this is just out of range of canister shot now. Yeah, it looks like that is the case. So a good maneuver right there by the French to, you know, withdraw from canister shot. I feel like we've been kind of neglecting the Bavarian line a little bit. Oh, wow. Enemy general. I wonder what he died by. It probably was a lone shot. That's going to be pretty big. That's going to be pretty big morale here on the Saxony forces. You know, kind of coming out of nowhere. It must have been like a lone shot. And I guess that's the problems of leaving your troops, you know, your generals close to the battle line right now. Carl Wilhelm being sniped by a rogue musket shot. We're going to be seeing the Spanish trying to envelop the French line. If we take a look at the battle map here, you can see them really pushing around, going into this boggy terrain. I think that's what this terrain is supposed to be, like boggy marshland almost, which I imagine means that they move a little bit slower. But yeah, we're going to be seeing them basically trying to envelop the French line, and the French are going to be trying to stop that. I also assume that these French infantry will just win over time against the Spanish, you know, at a decent distance. So they really just need to keep themselves firing. Again, the French are on the back foot. I mean, they can do this fullback maneuver, especially now that the Saxony general has been killed as well. It really looks like the Spanish probably have the majority of the money on this side. The Saxony forces are, you know, a little bit more depleted. However, the Saxony are holding back quite a few of these reserve regiments, and this is not a bad idea. They're allowing their Spanish allies to kind of really put the pain on the French, and I think the Spanish are winning this engagement somewhat handedly right now. However, you know, it's nowhere near over, but I think the Spanish do have the upper hand as we speak. And then the Saxony regiments are going to be committed a little bit later on. They don't really want to overcommit right now, which is not a bad idea. They're going to see how the left flank kind of pans out and then really decide. So I think maybe the French have better like overall accuracy in this battle. So that's why they're trying to keep the Spanish at the maximum range right now. Which again is not a bad strategy, obviously playing to the strengths of the, you know, of the French infantry. Which I assume are going to be, you know, better drilled. Going to have, you know, better morale and probably better shooting overall. Whereas the Spanish units are probably a little bit cheaper. But again, I'm not really sure. So let me know in the comments. You know, if I'm saying stuff that is maybe wrong, do let me know. I think the cavalry engagement is going to be huge. And as I say that, we're going to be getting an entire... Oh my god, did you see them horses just go flying from that cannon shot? We're going to be seeing a Spanish cavalry line going around, but they're going to be getting hit by a unit of French dragoons. We're also going to be getting a big cavalry engagement over here, and that could give the French the maneuver they need to really start turning this battle back in their favor. Yeah, there we have it. The French have just demolished the Spanish cavalry in a pretty big, you know, charge. It wasn't bad. If they could have taken out the French artillery, that would have been huge. But luckily, this unit of dragoons was sitting, you know, in wait for them. Maybe they were hiding in the forest and just kind of came out. But now that the Spanish have kind of lost their cavalry advantage, that's going to be pretty catastrophic for them. Now, it could be more Spanish cavalry hiding in the forest, which I assume is the case, because I'm pretty sure I saw more cavalry than that. However, that's going to be pretty deadly for them. You know, the Spanish, I feel like, were slowly but surely winning it. As you can see, if you look at the bodies, like, I feel like there's more French dead in this line. It's the French, yeah, just constantly trying to keep the Spanish at max range, which is a great line. And also, we are now seeing the Bavarians starting to commit more men, or yeah, we're actually starting to see, oh, that's a good charge there on the artillery piece by Saxony. Saxony trying to wipe out the artillery as the Bavarians had got this cannon really, really close. And Saxony are trying to close the distance now as well. Trying to get themselves in the face of the Bavarians. I mean, the Bavarians have some really nice artillery positions right here. You can see what we have what is this? I don't know what size cannon this is. Is this a 3-pounder? Yeah, I think this is a 3-pounder. And then we also have a 6-pounder back here. So nothing as big as the other cavalry. Nice Bavarian square right there. But I think the Saxony cavalry did its job. It overwhelmed the artillery. And took out one of the Bavarian artillery pieces. So not a bad maneuver whatsoever. But I think also this artillery has been taken out as well. Does look like the Bavarian cavalry has one on the left flank, though. And the Saxony, yeah, the Saxony lines are struggling morale-wise. With cavalry pouring in, this is kind of brutal right now. We do have a square being assaulted by the Bavarian cavalry. What a hectic battle this is. This is really cool. I love these engagements. Awesome, awesome. When we go back to the French line, we can see that they're actually going really aggressive here. Actually charging with their superior horse now. Taking that horse advantage. They're going to be charging in and trying to break the Spanish flanking force here. They're also supported by a unit of infantry. No, they're not even supported by infantry here. It's just the French dragoons moving in. in the forest, but soon they're going to be reinforced by some of the Voltigeurs. Probably not the best melee infantry, but they do also have some more heavy line maneuvering in. These green coats looking amazing. And I believe these are Grenadiers right now as well. I believe they're Grenadiers because of the plume, if I'm not mistaken. But maybe I am mistaken. So they're going to be charging in to support the French cavalry, but the French cavalry has done its job right now. Charging in. They have lost a few units over here. They've lost this unit of infantry. But, I mean, overall, that must have been worth it to overwhelm the French battle line completely. However, it's leaving the French extremely exposed. I feel like the Spanish should be trying to take advantage of this, moving these rifles round the flank and trying to hit them. Obviously, they don't want to get into range of the Spanish artillery, the French artillery and canister shot. But they have the line advantage right now. I feel like they need to be pushing in. Same over here. I mean, the Saxony infantry are doing a great job, but the Bavarians are taking advantage of this overextension, and they're starting to maneuver themselves around with their superior cavalry. So I feel like the Spanish need to do what the Bavarians are doing to Saxony, just using their superior numbers to maneuver around. There's even a road here they could try and take. They obviously have to be very careful of this cannon, but we're going to be seeing a Bavarian cavalry charge here on the cannon. There is a regiment of musketeers back here that could try and save them. Oh, that canister shot raining down on the Bavarian cavalry. They're trying to dodge it quickly, and we also have some more of the Saxony cavalry moving in to try and warn off that horse. Yeah, with the regiment here as well, I think the artillery is actually safe. But again, this infantry can just maneuver itself closer and closer. And especially now that we're having a huge rout here, the combined force of the cavalry and also the grenadiers moving in there just smash this Spanish right flank. And now the Spanish are going to have to start committing more infantry to defend this. I feel like it would have been so nice just to maneuver what they're doing right now on the side of these French lines, and that would have just been able to outshoot them pretty heavily. Be seeing a French counter volley going in. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in this video or not. Apologies if I'm just about to repeat myself, because I did record this once already. I got halfway through and unfortunately the replay crashed. But I recently watched the entirety of Sharp from start to finish. Besides, I think I skipped Sharp's gold because I was landing with a friend over the weekend playing EU4, and we just had Sharp on in the background, and I watched the entirety of Sharp from start to finish, which is like 14 episodes, each of them being like 2 hours long, maybe 11 episodes. But yeah, we watched every single one, so I'm definitely got that Napoleonic itch right now. So we can see the entire, look how much the battle lines have changed now. The French and the Bavarians are kind of turning this battle on its head now. I'm surprised, honestly, that the Bavarians managed to win against Saxony. I felt like the Saxonian infantry really had the advantage here, just with numbers, especially once they took out a large portion of the Bavarian artillery quite easily. But obviously losing their general was pretty hectic, and we're going to be getting, the Bavarians are really starting to push their numbers now, committing this infantry onto the flank, especially being on the road as well. These regiments are going to quickly reform up and get a good volley off onto their, Saxony counterparts. They're also in a pretty long formation due to their reduced numbers, so this will reduce their morale, but obviously it will allow them to use every rifle or every musket they have. And the Saxony infantry, I thought the Saxony infantry were going to charge there. That might not have been a bad idea. They're going to be charging now, but maybe it's a little bit too late with their morale going down. But because the line, it's a really nice, dual maneuver right there by the Bavarians, using the cavalry to stop anyone else from charging in. But obviously, when you see a line that's really thin, it means that the line doesn't have any, good morale whatsoever. So it's, always a good idea to try, maybe if you can, get an infantry unit in there to engage a flat line. It won't do a good job. That's why you see these fatter regiments, because this gives them more morale. Means they don't get as many, rifles shooting, as many muskets shooting, but you get more morale, which, keeps the men standing and fighting. And now the French line is really starting to push their, position. They've got their cavalry waiting in the wings. Is their artillery still shooting, or did the artillery get overwhelmed? Now, the artillery is repositioning with these 12-pounders. My God, they are some big guns. Look at that. Oh, scary French artillery indeed. Yeah, and I think the fact that the Spanish lost that artillery it's just going to come back and ruin them. Because what can they do? Now that this French artillery can just maneuver around the flanks. And you can see they're just going to charge into the rear and just demolish. And these units can't even form square either. You'll be able to tell if a unit can form square because it will have a square symbol next to its name. Let me find one so I can show you. Can none of these units form square? My God. Yeah, there you go. The unit's right there. That unit can form square. So I assume none of these other ones can then. I imagine, so answer me this. If you're a veteran of this game and a unit can't form square, this unit's facing the wrong way as the French infantry come flying in. Why would you not, like, what would be the disadvantage of just charging, like cavalry through your lines into this? Because it can't form square, so how are you supposed to stop just cavalry dominating the battlefield with infantry that can't form square? You know, do they rout really easily? Is it just like about counter-charging with your own infantry or your own cavalry and getting them involved? Do let me know, because as I said, I'm interested to know. The Bavarian line, though, has completely crushed Saxony now. They've barely got anything left. The cavalry is mopping up everything that tries to retreat. And this is very much looking like a French victory. I feel like the Spanish had such a good advantage up until this point. Up until this point right here, they really started to take damage and started to get pushed back and taken down. There you go. The last couple Spanish regiments are now falling from the battlefield. Yeah, the Spanish have the advantage, I feel. With that artillery, it was such a good maneuver right here with this artillery piece as well. Canister shotting them. And the you know, push right there by the cavalry then meant that the French cavalry could come in and just basically dominate this area of the battlefield. Saxony actually, like, a rogue shot killing the Saxony general as well was brutal, hurting their morale. And I think as the Spanish started to get beaten back, it just meant that the Bavarian line was even a little bit more taken care of. And I would have loved to have seen the Spanish maybe maneuvering around here and trying to cut off the French line, as they did have more regiments there. Oh, the 12-pounders still shooting. I wonder how many kills these 12-pounders got. Probably not a ton, but I imagine with this cannon, it's more about morale damage than anything else, right? It's probably more about routing the enemy and, you know, scaring them. Because if you're getting pounded by artillery, that'd be pretty scary. Oh my God, this must be against the art of war right now. Or the Geneva Convention. Literally just massacring. I mean, I guess it's not. There we go. Victory for the French. What an awesome battle. I can actually say, like, I really look forward to recording these battles. I honestly do, because every single time they're fun, you know? Like, there's just so enjoyable, especially with this new reshader as well you guys are seeing. Like, it just makes the battles look like it's not like a 10-year-old game or however old Napoleon is, or like 7 years probably. God damn, Napoleon's like 7 years old. That's goddamn crazy. I think it's because Rome's 5 years old, so this is either 6 or 7 years old at least. That's crazy. There we go. We got ahead and seen the French actually lost 1,000 men in their corps. The Bavarians did come with a few. Yeah, you can see that the Bavarians and the Saxony forces were kind of like supporting. Something I would have loved to have seen is maybe because the Spanish had so many more men than them, you know, obviously almost 3,000 men in their corps. I would have loved to have seen the Spanish using their numbers. They did kind of on this left flank, but just using their numbers to either outflank the French or sending a couple regiments to help win this fight over here against the Bavarians. I think that could have been a great key to, you know, making them and pushing through their advantage of having their numbers, because I don't think they were ever going to outshoot the French. Maybe it would have been good as well for the Spanish to bring another artillery piece or something. You know, the Bavarians brought 3 pieces, but they were smaller, whereas the French only brought 1. But either way, it was great game. GG for both the players. Looking at the kills on the French army, we have 1 unit of French line infantry getting 148. Cavalry doing decent. Wait, is this Bavarians? I don't know who I'm looking at right now. I think this is the Bavarians? Or is this the Spanish? I honestly have no idea. This must be the Bavarians, right? Because they've got a 3-pounder and... Yeah, this must be the Bavarians right here. So you can see the Bavarian line. It's so annoying I can't just see all the kills. But yeah, you can see the Bavarian line getting 148 kills. Not too bad. Their cavalry doing pretty decent as well. I think this is a Lancer unit getting 55 kills. And a few of the artillery pieces mainly just, you know, taking out... What regiment lost the most? So the 10th line... took 80 casualties out of their 107 and only killed 27, but I'm sure they fought bravely. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Let me know if you want to see more Napoleonic Total War free action on the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.